Thing. There we go.
All right.
Hey guys, welcome ZIMM'S Guitars channel. And I have a guest today, Dave's Guitar channel.
Hello.
There he is.
Greetings. Welcome. So
Dave,
how are
thanks for hanging out with me today,
Oh,
man.
anytime.
How you doing?
I'm good. It was a crazy day. Wednesday's a busy day teaching. Tuesday's this week, Tuesday and Wednesday was nuts, but it's mellow now, and I'm in my garage having a cigar, so I figured perfect timing.
I see you've been smoking a lot of guitars lately.
Smoking a lot of guitars or cigars?
Cigars. Probably smoking some guitars too, huh?
I have. The more I got back into working out and got back into shape, and the more I feel in shape, the more I'm like, exactly. So
there you go, man. Good for you working out. I usually ride my bicycle around in the evening. It's so hot here that I have to wait until 8 o'clock at night for the sun to go down, and then I can ride 2 or 3 miles around the neighborhood, and I go up and down the canal, and I do that kind of stuff.
Are you out in Mesa? Yeah.
I'm in Mesa, Arizona, and man, it's hot right now.
I've trained at that Gold's years ago. There was a Gold's in Mesa. I used to train over there.
Yeah, over on like University and over by ASU.
Exactly.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
I managed an apartment complex right down the street, and you remember where the Electric Ballroom was, right up. Kind of, if you want, right up the street from the Golds there, right on Apache Boulevard, there was a nightclub called the Electric Ballroom.
I didn't know. I used to stay in Scottsdale. I had a buddy that had a house on over by Happy Valley in Pima. And
that's way up there.
Golds around, so we went to that one to train every time we hung out there.
Nice. It's a really nice neighborhood up there, and but I'm down in Mesa, so I'm basically on the 101 freeway at Guadalupe. So I'm borderline Mesa and right on the border of Chandler. A half a mile up the street is Chandler.
Oh yeah, there used to be a guitar shop in Chandler. I forget the name, but I visited it once.
Well, Phil McKnight's store used to be in Chandler.
Oh really?
Yeah, McKnight was over there, and then we've had a couple. There's a Bizarre Guitar.
Bizarre Guitar was it?
Yeah, in Phoenix. And the bass player from Badlands is managing that place now.
Well, there was
Greg Chastain or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to Milano's, and then there was one. I think it was like ABC Music, maybe over in Phoenix, right near this. It's I can't remember where it was.
Well, there was Guitar and Keyboard City was pretty popular around here for a while, but they're gone now. Every place is gone. Milano's is still there. I think Milano's opened in like 1947 or 1953 or something. They have been there forever.
And they do like the band instruments, and they do it
what
all.
They do. That's what they do. And you'll go over there, and when the EVH Frankie came out last year, the retail price of the EVH Frankie was $2,000, but Milano's had it priced at $21.99.
Right.
So Milano's, and I'm not trying to talk shit, but Milano's is one of those places that add $100 or $200 to almost every item.
Right. Add it to the jip.
Yeah. So I am actually open, and I do have customers coming in from time to time. Hey man,
nice.
How you?
So Glenn Yacklin's asking me what's my favorite cigar brand. I don't know if I have a favorite brand. I mean, I love the Cuban Romeo and Julietas I really like, and I like the H. Upmann #2 out of Cuba. This is a great cigar, the La Gloria Cubana Serie R. I've been liking more full body cigars lately because obviously the more you smoke, the more you want the fuller flavor. So yeah, I mean, I like it all. There's a few brands I don't like. I'm not a big Padron guy. I know people think it's blasphemy. Don't really care for Ashtons. And Olivas, not a fan. Other than that,
right?
But
we're starting to get some people in the chat.
okay, good. Hey, Janice.
Yeah.
How are you, Janice? Janice is kind of local to me here. She's one state over, I guess.
Yeah. She plays a lot of guitar.
Yeah.
I had to rent a stand-up bass.
From Mulattoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, some Cubans are nice.
Yeah, those guys do good on their rental equipment. And I don't do that. I'm a used buy, sell, and trade. I stick to guitars and amps and pedals.
Nice.
And so, yeah, so if people want to bring in a PA system, I'm like, no. People trying to bring in keyboards, I'm like, no. Even though there's probably some money to be made in keyboards, the old Roland stuff or whatever, but I don't have room for it. So, yeah, I'm just trying to stick to kind of what I know.
Yeah, well, it's good.
Right.
Do what you know. That's
the
main thing. So, yeah, I mean, how old is your channel? Because I have to be honest, when you message me, like over the last year and a half, maybe, I've stopped watching 99% guitar stuff.
I started in spring of 17.
Oh, that's when I started.
Yeah, and
for me.
yeah, spring of 17 I started because I opened at my old location, I opened my shop, and my last name is Zimmerman. So that's how I came up with ZIMM'S Guitars, because I Googled it, ZIMM'S Guitars. Nothing in the world came up. I said, there you go. That's a good name.
Yeah.
And so I started in, summer of 16, but then I started my channel almost a year later. I'm like, and I always watch so many YouTube videos. And so I'm like, well, I might as well just do a couple of videos and see if it gets some customers. So I was just doing commercials, you know what I'm saying? And I still sort of do. And I'm trying to find my niche because I don't give lessons. I'm trying to find my niche. And once in a while, I'll do something like the cheapest guitar on Amazon.
Right.
Or I've done what I call customer showcase videos. So customers bring in their cool guitars, and I just hold the camera on their guitar, and I ask them, and I more or less interview them about their guitars. So you get guys that bring in their old, 69 Gibson or whatever they think is cool.
Yeah.
And that kind of works out a little bit. And then I started doing some unboxing videos because I can get some Fender stuff. And so when I got an EVH Frankie, we did a little unboxing video on that. And that gets I got my 10,000 views or something.
Mm-hmm.
But normally, lately, I've just been doing restring videos because every used guitar that comes in here, I have to restring it anyhow.
Sure.
So why not just roll camera,
Yes. I mean, it works. It's content,
It is. Yeah.
When I started my channel, I really was more like, I had come back to Massachusetts and my dad was ill. And, you start thinking about the scheme of life and you go, when you see your parents get old, it messes with your head. So I was like, I have all this music knowledge that I'm kind of self-taught and I do it in a non-traditional way, that I was like, well, maybe I should espouse my ideas on YouTube, at least therefore it's been documented. And then I started doing lessons because I played in like 4 bands and I'm like, I can't remember every one of these songs. I got 200 songs with this band, 200. So I started teaching songs that I knew I was going to have trouble remembering how they went. And then that's become, people are like, oh, can you put the tabs? Fuck off. No, I hope you don't mind I say that on your channel. But I'm like, get lost. What the hell do you expect? This is for me, not for you.
Yeah.
And then I did 1 million live streams when COVID hit. And I was interviewing people for a while. I had people like Tony Brock from the Babies on and Joey Allen from Warren because I played in the business and I worked as a session guy and I ran a store in Los Angeles called West LA Music.
That's right.
So I knew all these people and I was like, well, I may as well put it to use, And I still have people. Yeah, I still have people reaching out saying, "Hey, are you still doing interviews?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get you on at some point." I honestly, last year, I decided I was going to get back into shape. And as I was doing it, I realized that the YouTube stuff pulls at me a little more than I like. You know, people always want me to be live, and I'm like, well, I don't want to be live. I'd rather not. I'd rather do. So I was doing like one lesson a week, and then this summer I'm like, screw it, I'm taking it off. I'm not. I haven't put up any videos in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I'll probably won't till August. But
Right.
yeah, I stopped caring. I'm just
I'm there, but for me, if I do content on a guitar that I own, there's a good chance somebody will watch it and maybe call me up and say, "Hey, do you still have that thing?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. For me, I'm like, because I have so many lesson videos up, I'm getting more subs when I'm quiet. People, you know, they watch, they're because I'm not posting every week. They're like, what else does he? And I got like so many messages of, I never knew you did this lesson. I'm like,
Right.
Like but yeah.
And your top lesson video was, is it Baby Come Back by Player?
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Steely Dan stuff does really good for you.
Yeah. Supertramp.
Oh, yeah.
The Logical song, I think, is up there too.
Uh-huh.
And but yeah, I mean, it's funny because you would never expect Baby. And when I play Baby Come Back, I'm like, this is one of two of the greatest songs of all time, because I think the other one is Show and Tell by Al Wilson.
Okay.
I don't know how old a guy you are, but when I was a little kid.
I'm 60 years old.
Oh, so you remember Show and Tell. Oh, Show and Tell.
And you love the AM radio hits of the 70s.
Love it.
That's your thing.
I love it. I fucking love. You know why? Because back then music had harmony in the chords. You're not just playing a G chord. You're playing a G major 9. You're playing a G11. You're playing chords that have more color to them. Today, music is like even when you listen to the Beatles, there's color to those chords, and then you listen to like Ed Sheeran, and it's 3 chords, and it's like, this stinks.
Yeah, he sings to the chords that are there, but back in the day, again, the 1970s and the Beatles and stuff, they'd play a chord and they'd sing to it, but then they'd be like, well, wait a minute, if I take this finger off right there and maybe let that open D string ring out, it sounds prettier and it matches the note that I'm singing better, or it matches your harmony part better. Yeah.
It's typical harmony. It's what Steely Dan had, which is why I love Steely Dan, And part of the things that I teach is like when people sit there and they look at like a G major 9 chord from Steely Dan and they get all, crazy about it. And it's really just a D chord over a G that's being played. And so I try to break it down for them and say, listen, we're all working here in triads. And so you can think that way. And that's why I'm so totally against the whole modal thinking of modes. And it's 7 notes, 1 key. It makes everything so much easier. And if it can break down a Steely Dan song and make it less complicated, I'd say it's on the right track. So that's how I look at it.
That's true. And the way YouTube is nowadays, man, it makes it easy to go on and pick a backing track or something. I sat here on quiet days and I just put backing track in A minor. And I sat and just play my A minor pentatonic. I'm a bass player in the band that I'm in.
Yeah.
So, but I work on my A minor scale and stuff like that. And because of YouTube and those backing tracks, when you're doing a string bend, you can hear where to actually bend to get to the proper pitch. Yeah. Where a lot of guys, all the days I spent in punk bands and everything, they do string bends, but nobody would ever really bend their string up to the proper pitch.
Oh, drives me nuts. That's one of my pet peeves. But yeah, no, so if you took an A minor backing track, and let's say you just looked at that A minor as the 2 chord in the key of G, you could just play every triad in the key of G over that A minor, and you'll get all kinds of crazy harmony. If you play the G chord, you're playing an A minor 11. You'll have an A minor 11 sound. The 2 chord would be the A minor. 3 chord would be a B minor. So you'd have that sound. And then you have the C chord, which is, of course, the 1 to it, but you would have becomes an A minor 7. Then you have the D chord, so you're going to be adding an 11 and a what's the 6. So you add all these colors, and all you're doing is playing the major triads of the G major scale.
Okay.
And you can also do it to the key of C. Also, you can play all the triads in the C major scale because that also is an A minor.
So the lesson that you gave today, you had a guy come in and took a lesson today. What song were you teaching him? What were you guys working on?
We do a lot of Allman Brothers stuff.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. And actually today we do a lot of theory. A lot of stuff. So we alternate. So like we'll do like 2 weeks of songs, going over songs and figuring out, because the Allman Brothers harmonies are strange. A lot of them are in fifths or fourths. They're not like your usual third part harmonies, you know? Okay. And then we also do, and then like we'll go into just what I was talking about, like soloing when you're taking it and thinking of the triads as opposed to the scales. Like instead of thinking of pentatonic or moving scales in a linear fashion, if you play all the triads, you're playing the scale, but you're moving them around in melody.
Okay.
Sorry, there's a plane going overhead. The thing sounds like it's going to land in my driveway.
Police helicopter.
Well, I got a guy out front in orange going like this.
So yeah, you are really good at guitar. You are an awesome guitar player.
Oh, thank you very much.
Watched, of course, we've all watched some of your live streams when you're at the bar playing gigs with your AM station. And I heard you guys doing Melissa the other night. So that's like one of my favorite, you know, pre-COVID, there was a couple of bars that I could hit here in Tempe that were doing like blues jam nights. And Melissa was one of my go-to songs. So I would strum whatever guitar. I would go to the blues jam and I would be kind of a utility player. So I wouldn't write my name on the list. I would just show up and everybody knows me and they're like, hey, Dane, we need somebody for bass on this song. So I would, you know, work my way through that. Or we had a great keyboard player that would show up and he would let me do a set on his keyboards. And I can't really do piano ballads and stuff, but I can follow along on an organ to, you know, if I know the song, I can kind of transpose it over to the keyboard and play along with the band and, you know, do some typewriter style keyboard riffs and stuff. So but then once COVID hit, it kind of put an end to that.
Yeah.
I haven't been going to any blues jams since then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's Melissa's a fun song to play. It's, you know, fairly simple E major, straight E major until you get to the bridge when it turns to a it goes
what song?
Melissa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a straight E major. But I mean, until it gets
do that, yeah, when you do that, the first chord is an E major, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you kind of run up to that F sharp chord and this and that. I played that for a couple of guys. A couple of guys come in here and they're country players. And there's a very popular country song that uses that same thing. And I'm like, dude, that's Melissa. It's like, no, man, that's something.
It's also the song by Yes. You say da 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 to the corner of your life. Send an instant comment. I've seen all good people.
Oh, wow.
It's the A section of I seen all good people just cut in half. Melissa does it twice as long. I've seen all good people does it half. And also it's they use the same chords in Make It With You from Bread.
Oh, wow.
Because we play all the
you know, the guy had a really magical voice, the singer of Bread. When he was singing, man, you knew who it was.
Awesome songs.
Yeah.
Awesome songs. I mean, what's that? Everything I Own is a gorgeous song. That's a beautiful song. It's a song actually he wrote for the loss of his father. That's a beautiful song.
Wow.
Yeah.
If they played it on like AM radio back in the day when I was a kid, I would have heard it. But if it wasn't a radio hit by Bread, I've never heard it.
Yeah, no one has.
Yeah.
If it wasn't on the radio by Bread, nobody was buying the albums.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone was buying the denim suits, though. Everyone had the denim jeans, the matching denim jacket with the bedazzled jacket that he wore.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
David
What
Gates.
about in the 80s? Were you in LA in the 80s?
No, I was out there for a year in the late 80s, but
Okay.
I went back in the 90s. I was out there in the 90s.
So the whole hair metal thing was pretty much done when you went back in the 90s, or was it still some hanger-oners?
Yeah, the hanger-oners were there, but they were also, it was dying in the 80s when I was there. It was kind of like when Guns N' Roses first came out.
Okay,
But
87? Yeah.
Yeah, 87. It was still strong, though. It was still, that music was still going strong. I mean, I don't think that really died till like the early 90s, 91 or 90, when the grunge thing really just took a knife to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wasn't really a hair metal guy. I mean, probably the closest thing to hair metal I really dug was Queensryche.
I love Queensryche.
The Rage for Order album for me was the
I
shit.
know it. And
I
Take
love
Hold
that.
of the Flame. The Warning album was
Warning
so
album.
good. It had a little hint of Iron Maiden in it, but it was, for me, it was more, I could take it in. You know what I'm saying? And I could, it would sink in. Where Iron Maiden didn't really sink in as much.
Oh, I was a huge Maiden head. I was huge.
I know. I love the big songs.
Yeah, no, Maiden was my band. When I was it was for me Maiden first, and then Queensryche came in, and I was like, I did like Rage for Order better than Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, but if I look at the whole catalog, I'm a bigger Maiden fan.
Right.
Hold on, they're landing a 707 in my driveway.
707. What was their big hit song?
I Could Be Good to You.
The one.
I used to play at every station. I love them.
Man, you remind me of a guy that comes in here, and his name is he's a good friend of mine, and he comes in and he is a keyboard player, and you guys would work so well together because I could name any freaking song from the 70s, and he'd set on a keyboard and he would have it. Oh, here's how that one goes. And
well, we used to play I Could Be Good for You in my band FM station, and the faces of like the two people in the audience who recognized it were priceless, and the rest of the people were just like, what the hell is this? You know, so it was, and we did that a lot. We did No Secrets by what's that band, The Angels out of Australia. She keeps snow, and we did
they were Take Me Away to Marseille. Wasn't that the Angels?
Yes. And they also did I Don't Want to Face
that one a little bit.
And Am I Ever Gonna See Your Face Again? Am I ever gonna see your face again?
Angel City. Yeah.
Angel City was their name in the States, which they hated. Their band's name in Australia was The Angels.
That's right. But somebody over here already had that name or something.
Absolutely. That's right. It was a 50s band or something. Oh, Taxi, I'm Leaving, Ricky Compton's another great song. One of my favorites. I always thought it was like a pop version of Turning Circles by Judas Priest. It's very similar in the chords of everything.
And what was the artist's name?
Taxi. But they had two. He wrote it with one X. It's Taxxi.
Were they more of like kind of a jazz thing or what?
Oh, no, just straight rock and roll. They had what's that song? Checkered Queen or something was a big song. But I'm Leaving was a great song. One of those, like, I Could Be Good for You. There was another. Remember that one? No Time to Lose. No Time to Lose. What was the name of that band? It was two names. I'll never remember it on the spot. No Time to Lose. That was a great tune.
Do you collect the old vinyl records that you come by that has that stuff?
Nah. I have it all on MP3. I'm too lazy now. I had CDs years ago. Ended up giving all those away. I as soon as I cataloged everything into music on digital, I'm like, that's it. I'm done. It becomes an obsession, and I was just like, no. But yeah, then I'm now same with guitars. Like I was into collecting so many guitars. And then at one point I'm like, I don't even play all these guitars, and I don't think I ever would. I don't really care for them. And it's funny now because I've stripped down my collection, and people will be like, oh dude, you got to try my Strat. I'm like, why? Oh, it's just a really good Strat. Yeah, it's not mine. Yeah.
It's because they want to share.
I know, but it's like because I play V-necks, I have stainless steel frets, I scallop the very high part of my neck just on the high 3 strings. And the pickups I have that I like. So I have a very specific taste that when somebody gives me theirs, I'm like, yeah, it's an off the wall Strat. I could buy this. You know what I mean? I get it, but I don't, it doesn't excite me.
So your favorite Strat where you took the Fender name and had it more or less etched into the headstock. Was that a Wormuth build or what was the one? Okay.
Oh, so the one that had the one etched was so somebody was on Craigslist and they posted a guitar for $400, Mexican Strat, brand new. Was
at least 2 years ago now or something, 3 years ago.
It was like 4 years ago at least. And so I messaged him. I said, I'll give you $300 cash right now. He's like, I'll take it. So it was brand new, had the tags on it still. He's like, I got it as a gift. I'm never going to play it. So I turned around. I took the neck off, sold the neck on Craigslist. I took the pickup, the whole pickguard assembly, sold that on Craigslist, and then went and bought a whole new pickguard assembly, bought the neck, and I called this woman who has a laser place a couple of towns down, and I said, if I send you the file, can you etch it in laser? So I found a 70s logo that I wanted on it, and then we had to fine tune it a little bit, and then she did it for me. And then I filled it in with paint, acrylic paint. Yeah. So, I mean, it came out cool. The black.
People know your favorite guitars. Ricky knows your favorite guitar.
No, that's Dave. That's his favorite of mine. Yeah, that one. Yeah. That's a Wormuth neck with a skull and crossbones at the 12th fret, reverse headstock.
That's right. I have seen that one too.
Yeah, it plays like a monster. It's got a really flat feel, fingerboard to it, but it's got a V-neck. Everything has V-necks that I play now. So.
All right, like a hard V neck profile.
Yes.
Okay.
Wormuth calls it the Clapton V. And then two of my guitars have the fat V, the big fat 15.
And why do you think that's your neck profile? What about it? About it like makes you go, oh, this is my neck right here, a hard V.
It fits my hand. And years ago, I used to play, when I was in LA, I played a lot of acoustic gigs. And my hand, after an hour, would feel like it was cramping so bad.
Right.
So I went and I bought an Epiphone master built that had a V-neck and it had a real hard V on it. But I just liked the way it felt. The first gig I go to it, I'm playing for 4 hours at a barbecue, and I'm not even, my hands they felt perfect. I'm like, that's it. So I switched. I mean, it was more out of necessity.
So because guys come into my shop and they're like, man, what neck would you think is, and they're like beginner guitars. What neck profile should I get? A C neck or a D neck? I'm like, man, you need to set and play a 4-hour show with every type of guitar neck that you can come by, and you have to experiment for yourself. I can't give you those answers.
Yeah. And the thing is, big hand. So like the V forces my hand back, which makes it more relaxed, because otherwise I'm all scrunched in my hand. That's why I cramped up.
Yeah, and there's the old routine about gripping onto a ball or something. Is your grip stronger, like when you're holding a giant softball, or is it your grip stronger when you're holding like a golf ball size thing? Yeah. Where's your grip the strongest at? And you got to find right in the middle somewhere, I guess. Yeah. There are those kind of theories.
Years, and that's what I like. I've been playing that now for like 16 years now. The V-necks. And I mean, the only things that I have that are not V-necks, I have a few tellies with big baseball bat necks, which I love that too. And it's fine because people are like, oh, you can't shred on that. Oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. And you can play. You know, it's
the whole shredder neck thing. If you're a great player, the whole shredder neck thing. Oh, it's got to be super thin. RG 550 thin neck. Yeah. I also can't shred on anything else than that.
I play a wide nut. All my guitars are 1 3/4 nut.
Okay.
As opposed to Fender's 1 5/8 or 11/16, depending on what. If you buy a vintage, it's 1 5/8. The newer ones are 11/16. But I like it bigger. I like it 1 3/4.
Just so you can get your fingers in there,
it's wider, and it's just my hands more relaxed, especially if I have to play low or chord wise. It's just
hitting that F bar chord.
Well, I do like a lot. I play acoustic I like a lot of bluegrass stuff, and it feels nicer when the strings are just a hair wider apart. So that's just out of comfort of what I'm used to playing. I try to make it. Hey, Tim Thomas is here. Hey now. 1 3/4. Classical guitar style is 1 7/8, I believe, not 1 3/4. I'm pretty sure.
And the nylon string classical acoustics, that's a 2-inch nut.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And very flat. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ricky's also noticing that my guitars are all compound radius as well. Ricky follows.
Start at 10 and go up to 14, or start at 10 and go up to 12 or something?
I think it's either 10 to 16 or 12 to 16. I forget what Warmouth's thing is. And I think that whole thing was started by Grover Jackson in the 80s. He did. And Tom Warmouth, the guy's name? He was making them for Grover back in the early day when he was what was it? It was Boogie Bodies was the big one around, right?
I have a telly with a Boogie Body. Yeah.
I mean, you think about all those guys that were involved back there, like David Schechter was one of the big first guys. And I'm trying to think of the guy's name from Boogie Bodies. He retired recently, but he's up by Warmouth area, Seattle area. And then Warmouth was big.
Have you looked at the prices of brand new Warmouth necks nowadays?
I'm afraid
some of them are getting up to like $700.
I'm afraid, yeah. I was buying them at like 250. The Wenge one, I think I paid $400 for. I know, and I want to get another Wenge neck for a body that I have. I have another build to do, but I've been dragging on it because I'm like, I'm going to wait till the prices come down, or I'm going to get killed on it.
Or try to find something used, and you never know. I sold a Warmouth telly today for $500.
Wow. A tribute or no, a Warmouth.
It was the whole Warmouth build. A friend of mine, Dave, he built the whole guitar. Actually, I sold it for $700 because he ended up with $500 of it, but he only wanted $500 out of it. But it's something that, he put the whole body together and he stained it green, and then he put the neck, but he didn't like the neck because it was super glossy and it was too thick for him. So
yeah. Warmouth makes great stuff. I mean, if somebody was thinking about really getting, like my yellow Strat that I use a lot for live is a complete Warmouth build. And the reason I made that was there was a guitar called the International Strat from Fender that came out in '79. And I always loved that yellow. It was called Monaco Yellow. And it had a maple fingerboard, but it had a 70s headstock. But all the pickups, covers, and everything was black. The pickguard was white. And I was like, I'd love that guitar, but I wish it had an ebony fingerboard. Like, this is what I'm making it in my mind. I'm like, I'm going to have an ebony fingerboard, and I would do a Dan Smith headstock, 50s headstock with a 70s logo. So I built it.
There you go.
Yeah. And people are like, why'd you put Fender on it? Because it's a fucking Fender. I'm never going to sell it. It's not like I'm trying to get it to any. And I ran one of the biggest Fender Pro custom shop dealers at West LA Music in the country. Yeah. I played custom shops. This guitar plays better than 99% of the custom shops off the wall. So I'm like, I'm never going to sell it. And Fender would be proud to have their name on it. It's like, to me, it's his guitar. It's a Fender guitar. It's like if you were a car restorer or you were building a car and you built a Corvette, would you put the Corvette tags on it? You would. You wouldn't make a Corvette and then sit there and put your own name on it. It would look ridiculous. People would be like, what the hell's Snuffle up against? Oh, it's my own.
But those old custom shop stuff from back then, they've gone up in value, haven't they? Or are they about the same, or have they dropped in value?
I think the custom shop stuff is getting more and more expensive. It's, and what I never understood was in Fenders, they have the master builds, and they charge more to have one guy build the guitar. It's like, wait a second. This person has been assembling the guitar, this part of the guitar, their whole life. That's what they do the best. Why do I want you making the whole thing? I'd rather, because it's like the whole design of the guitar is that it's like
some guys are good at the electronics, some guys are good at the fret installs, but they're doing it to where this one guy builds the whole thing all the way through.
For what? Give me the whole. It would be like, imagine if you bought like whatever you're driving now, and they said, well, you can get the same exact car. You might think it drives a little nicer, but one guy built it from the beginning, and it's 3 times the price. You're gonna be like, oh, really? Go fuck yourself. Give me the team built, will you? What are we doing here?
It's amazing how the automotive market is very similar to the guitar market. I tell people all the time, they walk in, they look at the guitars, and they're like, well, what's like the best brand that I should get? Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you want a Nissan or do you want a Chevy? You know?
Right. Yeah.
And it's so similar, the automotive market and the guitar market.
And in the guitar market, people are buying it because of the name recognition, and like Fender has a classic name. I think the G&L ASATs play nicer than most Tellys, but people don't like the 6 separate saddles. And I'm like, okay, so you don't like that. Change the saddles, whatever you want to do. But I just think that they make a better G&L personally. But I think Strat-wise, Fender makes a better Strat than G&L.
I'm kind of with you on that, because I've had a couple, I've had a couple in the shop, but they're the Korean or the Indonesia ASAPs or whatever. I don't think I've had a USA one, or maybe I did. I had a really old one from the 80s that was a very thin neck. You wouldn't have liked it. Very narrow nut and everything.
Yeah, I have a G&L ASAT custom that they built for me with a big V-neck, stainless frets, wide nut. It's great. It's like everything I love. And they did it for me back in 2011.
Yeah, that's cool. When was the last time you did a show where you had the whole full band, live drummer and everything? Are you doing stuff like that still?
2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was on Father's Day, there was a barbecue at a place called the Riverwalk Brewery in Newburyport, which is like a fancy town on the north coast of Massachusetts. And they wanted my band to play. My singer couldn't do the gig. And so I called Emily and said, hey, do you want to front the band? She's like, sure. We threw a bunch. She's a huge Stones fan. So we threw in like a bunch of Stones songs and a couple of Zeppelin songs that she likes that she wanted to do.
Whole Lot of Love, maybe?
No, we did Southbound Suarez, and we did All My Love. And then we did Tumbling Dice and Happy from Exile on Main Street.
All right.
Yeah. So it was a fun show. And, it's funny.
Are you into playing these shows for fun, or are you mostly in it to make money?
Well,
I know you get $100, maybe $200 a night or something, I'm guessing, but
I won't play for $100.
Okay.
I won't do it anymore.
Okay.
Even as a favor, it's got to be at least 2 for me to leave my house, because otherwise I'm schlepping to me. And somebody said to me once, they wanted to hire me for a party. I gave him a price, and he says to me, well, what if I want you for an hour less? I said, it's the same price. He's like, well, why is it the same price? I said, because you're paying me to schlep my gear. I play for free.
That's true.
Right? I'm playing for free. That's the part I like. It's the bringing the gear and taking it home that you're paying me for. And I have to do it whether I'm playing 2 hours or 3.
Yeah, because there is that argument in the community, in the guitar community, where people are like, hey, will you come and play this bar for exposure? And you know what I'm saying? And then if you're good, then we'll start to hire you, or you'll be able to get gigs at other, bars around town. I've been guilty of doing that a lot, because I enjoy, and I just love being on stage and jamming. And the band that I'm in right now, we're called Whiskey Dogs.
Okay. And
we go and we play LA, and I lose a couple $100 every time I play.
Where are you playing?
We'll drive to LA and we'll play at the Whiskey A Go-Go. We played at the Whiskey A Go-Go 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it probably cost me $120. And I actually round tripped the whole show. My drummer picked me up here at my store Saturday at noon. We jumped in his Jeep, drove the 370 miles to LA, played a 10:45 time slot at the Whiskey A Go-Go, which was awesome.
Off stage by 11:15 on the nose.
Yeah.
Right?
but it's backlined for us. So all I have to do is bring my bass and my strap and the cord, and I plug into the bass and unplug, and so I don't have to schlep gear around. And then after the gig, we chugged a beer, and he got a bunch of coffee, and we drove all the way back to Phoenix. I got home at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
So for an old man like me, I was awake for like 21, 22 straight hours. I was awake.
But that's a good experience. I played the whiskey about 100 times. It's a great experience.
It really is, isn't it?
My favorite place to play in LA was the Troubadour.
I've not done that yet.
Yeah, that's an experience. And I used to like the Dragonfly a lot. I don't know if the Dragonfly.
I don't know if that's still there.
Yeah, that used to be a great club. They had a better sound system than the whiskey. But the whiskey's fun. I mean, whiskey is what it is. I had a band called
When you think about the tradition and the little staircase that takes you down to the stage, when you think about Led Zeppelin and the Doors and Motley and all the people that ran up and down, David Lee Roth, all the people that ran up and down those little stairs to play on that stage, it just blows your mind that I get to actually do what all these guys were able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a buddy of mine.
That's worth blowing $200 to do.
Yeah, it's an experience. It's a life experience. I had a buddy of mine who walked in. He was born in 1950. At 20 years old, he walked into the Whiskey A Go-Go. He said the place was dead, and this band called Yes was playing. And he said, "What the hell is nobody here for? This band is unbelievable." He's so funny. Jimmy Ray's asking. I had a band in LA called the Big Angry, and we used to play everywhere. For a while, Nick Menza from Megadeth was my drummer. He was the second drummer in our band, so he played with us quite a bit. I think he was in the band 2 years. We played from 2001 to 2002 with an original drummer, and then he did it till about 2005. He was in it for 3 years, and then after Nick, we had a couple of people that played for us, but then the next time we did a gig was for a film, and Ray Lucia from Korn played drums for us.
Wow.
Yeah, Ray's a good, and Ray was the original drummer back in the day when we were playing. Ray was the original drummer in what is now called Steel Panther. They used to be called Metal School and Metal Shop.
That's right. That's right.
And Ray was the drummer then, playing for them and David Lee Roth. And then he took the David Lee Roth full time. He left, and then he did Army.
I've heard about that. I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then David Lee Roth for that tour, the Sammy Hagar tour with David. That band Steel Panther had a second band called the Atomic Punks. They were doing the Van Halen thing, and they took Brian, the Van Halen guitar player, and put him into David Lee Roth's band. He toured with
the Sam and Dave tour.
Yeah, on the Sam and Dave.
I saw that.
I did too. It was in Glendale.
I was there.
I was too.
It was at no, let me think. Where was it at? It was at
Glendale.
Yeah, it was out there. Yeah, it was in Glendale. It was at that. It used to be Blockbuster Desert Sky.
Yeah.
And now but they changed the name every 3, 4, 5 years, so I don't even know what it's called now.
Oh yeah, I was
outdoor venue.
I was VIP'd at that because Ray called us up and he was like, "I can't get you into the LA show. Do you guys want to take a trip to Phoenix?" And we're like, "Fuck yeah." He's like, "I'll get you into the private party." So we hung out. It was great. We had a blast.
Are you a Roth fan or a Hagar? What are you going to go with?
On record, I'll take the David Lee Roth years. Live in concert, Hagar was way better.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
Roth was not happening, and it's just it's like Schmaltz. He's out there he's like a Vegas act doing show tunes. You know what I mean?
No.
Justin
Sam and Dave show. I remember that Sammy had to play first for whatever reason. They were flip-flopping night after night.
Mm-hmm.
And so Roth takes the stage, and he looked good and everything. And I'm pretty sure I'm like, well, I think it's the Atomic Punks, backing him up.
Right.
And he was out there dribbling a basketball around. And I'm like, come on, Dave. And I'm just voting for the guy. Come on, Dave, give us some of that old school charisma you used to have. and it just didn't happen. And I was like, well,
Yeah, no, it didn't. But then when Sammy performed, other than the fact that he's walking around with a beach towel around him, drinking at the I was like, all right, get on some clothes. We don't need to see you with a beach towel. But his singing voice was fantastic, and his performance was great. I mean, the band sounds like the record. They were sounding great. They put on a great show. Hagar, I have a ton of respect for Hagar for what he does, and still he's in his 70s now and he sings his ass off.
And he just did a interview with Bill Maher, and now Bill Maher, the leftist, the lefty guy from Politically Incorrect and HBO and all that.
Sure.
His channel is called Club Random. And he interviewed Sammy Hagar, and Bill Maher pulls out a joint and they're drinking, and Sammy tells you the Cabo Wabo story about his tequila, and he actually sold the company for $100 million.
Yeah.
And so after taxes and lawyers and this and that, he ended up with $63 million or something. But that is a great Sammy interview. And Sammy, he's offered weed. Bill Maher's like, you want to join? And Sammy's like, man, I got to sing tomorrow night. And I'm protect my voice. Yeah. And so props to him, because you hear a lot of stories nowadays where all the 80s singers, they just can't sing anymore. Bon Jovi can't sing anymore. And Coverdale can't sing anymore.
I saw Coverdale in 2010. He was terrible.
Yeah, so to see that Hagar is still kicking ass and still taking care of himself,
great.
Props to him.
At that Whitesnake show, they opened up for Judas Priest, who was doing the British Steel record. This was at the Gibson Amphitheater. Rob Halford sounded fantastic. He took care of his voice.
Halford's the man.
He's the shit, and so is Dickinson. Saw Maiden years ago. Maiden still sounds great. Those guys who take care of their voices, they care about, I wouldn't even say they care about the fans, but they care about the craft. They're out there doing a job. It's like, in fact, just the other day, I listened to a lot of Sirius Satellite, and they played a bunch of Van Halen live from back in the day. It was David Lee Roth singing Everybody Wants Something in the Cradle of Rock. And I was like, he was terrible then.
He was terrible then.
He was terrible.
You can't really give him any shit. Sometimes I wish when there was a Van Halen show, I went and saw that 2015 A Different Kind of Truth tour. And,
I did.
He's got his ribbons and his scarves and he's dancing. And I'm like, Dave, I would rather see Dave stand behind a teleprompter and have the lyrics coming up at him and having him sit there and just sing it as close as he can to the original recordings. And I don't want the showmanship, man. I want to hear what you can do.
Right. He comes out now. He's got the short haircut. He looks like Dr. Smith. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there waiting for the Jupiter 2 to come pick him up and fly him away. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? In fact, I'd much rather see Billy Mooney perform.
Yeah.
Remember Billy Mooney was in Barnes and Barnes? They did Fish Heads. Fish Heads. That was
Will Demento stuff.
Yeah, that was Will Robinson from Billy Mooney. Yeah, but I'm telling you, he looks like Dr. Smith coming out. I went to that Different Kind of tour.
Yeah.
And Eddie's tone on that tour, I hated his tone on that tour. It was something about it that was weird. It had like a mid-range boost. It was like he had a wah pedal on all the time.
Oh, wow.
Because I seen Eddie a bunch, and it was the first show where I was like, this is not the Eddie tone that I want to hear. And I love it.
He's the kind of guy that kept changing his tone, trying to get better and better and better. But I don't know how you could have gotten better than the first album.
Well, to me, I like Women and Children just because it sounds like they recorded it in a garage with the thing on full blast. There's something.
Just put 57s on every instrument and turn the shit up and play it.
It's just loud and raw. But
yeah.
My favorite Van Halen tone is Billy Gibbons playing Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, because to me, that's like the spawn of that sound. When you hear it, to me, it sounds like if you took how do we get Eddie's sound? Well, first, let's start with that. Start with Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers and put a Phase 90 on it all the way off. And you got
they would mix their albums through that reverb unit that put Eddie's guitar over on the left or over on the right channel. And then you could just hear the reverb of Eddie's guitar over and so it gave it a very wide stereo effect. And I loved how the first two albums were recorded like that. And then when A Different Kind of Truth comes out, my wish list was, let's get Michael Anthony to give us some of those memorable background vocals that I love. His background vocals are magical. And let's mix it like the first album or the second album where you had that huge reverb off to the side. That'd have been so cool.
I agree. But not to take away from Mick Jones, because I think the 5150 album is recorded beautifully for its time. Like, I think that's a great record. To me, is it a Van Halen record? No, but it's, to me, it's the second phase of Van Halen, but it still was a great sound. But I agree with you. The early Van Halen records have Don Landy was a genius, him and Templeman.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, a lot of people don't realize I'll Wait from 1984 was melody and lyrics were written by Michael McDonald.
I remember hearing that rumor.
And then they gave it back. They gave him credit for it on later pressings because Michael McDonald got pissed. He was like, how come I didn't get credit? Templeman was pissed because Templeman was the one who brought him in because he produced the Doobies.
Right. Oh, they're all on the same management, same label, Warner Brothers.
Yeah, and same production company. It was Don Landy and Ted Templeman doing the Doobie Brothers. So when Lee Roth was having trouble, Ted Templeman said, you mind if I bring it to Michael McDonald? He's good with this stuff. And Michael McDonald came up with that whole, you got me, and all that.
Yeah.
Great. It's great stuff.
It really made the early 80s a lot of fun to have a band like Van Halen come to town once a year.
Yeah.
And then play the US Festival in 83. I even drove to that. And it made it a lot of fun back in those days.
Yeah, Michael McDonald wrote, someone's talking about Michael McDonald's songwriting. I don't know if you're into country music at all, but Allison Krauss has a song, Empty Hearts, that originally was done by Michael Johnson. Remember the Bluer Than Blue guy? Bluer Than Blue. And Allison Krauss did a version of it that Michael McDonald wrote. That's just a beautiful song. It actually reminds me a lot of That's the Way by Led Zeppelin, the way the pedal steel is in that song. But if you get a chance, check it out. It's called Empty Hearts by Allison Krauss. It's really good.
And if you're ever in the karaoke bar singing a Michael McDonald song, you just shove a cocktail napkin in your cheek.
Right.
And then you don't know what I'm gonna
right. Hey, don't worry, I'll be around you.
It was good on the Steely Dan stuff.
Fantastic.
It was really good in the Steely Dan stuff.
Great.
What was the song? And he was so good in the Christopher Cross stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
The movie, The 40-Year Virgin, came out, and during the whole thing, they just kept ripping on Asia and Michael McDonald in that whole movie. You remember that? The 40-Year Virgin.
I loved Asia's first album.
Oh my God, so good.
I'm telling everyone here, you want to get rocked out, put on the song "Time Again," crank it. That is some difficult.
Time again. Yeah. I saw that tour live when it first came out, 1981 or something.
Yeah, fantastic record, that first album.
And the hit, which was
Heat of the Moment was one.
Heat of the Moment, for me, that's the worst song on the record.
Yeah, Only Time Will Tell. Soul Survivor was good.
Soul Survivor was awesome.
Yeah,
for some reason, John Wetton, you can see a bunch of YouTube videos from 1983 that's only 2 years later, and they got Greg Lake singing lead guitar and playing bass. They did a Japanese tour in 83, and then you got Greg Lake singing all the parts.
How many times
in Soul Survivor, he couldn't even hit the high notes that John Wetton could hit on Soul Survivor.
Well, the funny thing is John Wetton replaced Greg Lake in King Crimson.
Yeah.
Because Greg Lake was the singer on the first King Crimson record.
Right.
And then John Wetton came in.
Yeah, and Wetton also did, I think he did a Uriah Heep album too, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was funny. This girl that used to work for me at West LA was really a prog rock girl. And she says to me one time, My favorite Greg Lake album where he sings the best is Red by King Crimson. I'm like, yeah, he's so good. He's John Wetton.
Oh yeah.
Here's a funny story. I used to give
My
this
older
guy.
brother collected all that. That was a little tiny bit before my time, the King Crimson stuff. But
Yeah.
I was exposed to it because my older brother had all that stuff.
Well, where I lived in Santa Monica, my apartment building, one building over from me was Keith Emerson. So I used to see Keith in my neighborhood all the time. So
Wow.
I had a student in the Palisades. I'd go every Monday. We'd do a 4-hour lesson, and we'd be doing like all these weird tuned Greg Lake tunes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. So one day, this guy has an airplane hangar in Santa Monica Airport. One day he's playing his guitar in there, and he sees two guys just standing outside of his hangar, just staring at him. He goes, "What's up, guys?" They go, "Well, you're playing our song." He goes, "What song is that?" They go, it was Keith Emerson and Greg Lake. So he ended up taking Keith Emerson up in his plane and giving him a tour of LA from the sky. But he said Greg Lake, he goes, "I couldn't get him in my plane. He was too big."
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah. Now they both passed,
Well,
you know.
those guys passed in like the same year or something, 9 months apart from each other or something.
Yeah. Keith Emerson committed suicide.
Oh,
And
shit.
yeah. And Greg Lake had a heart attack. But Keith Emerson, he was like, when I knew him, he was really depressed because
I'm talking John Wetton. John Wetton and Greg Lake both passed at like the same time.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lake died a year or two after Keith Emerson. Keith Emerson, he had a severe carpal tunnel where he wasn't going to be able to play anymore. Even if they did the surgery, he wouldn't be able to play. And that bummed him out. And the first news that the time they gave him that is he moved his mom into his house. His mom was living at his condo because he would
commit suicide.
And then exactly, that's what did it. That's what took him over the edge. No, but he was when I worked at West LA, it was I got to meet everybody, and they're all, you know, most of them were really nice guys. There is one guy I did not like, which was Trevor Horn.
Trevor Horn.
Yeah. He's a producer. He's a producer. He produced the 90215 album. He wrote Owner of a Lonely Heart. He was the singer on Drama.
That's why I don't know him.
Yeah, and that's a good record. I think Drama was like a really good record. I like Tempest Fugit. It's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did not like that.
Again, a lot of that stuff, if it wasn't a radio hit, I'm not that familiar with it. You know?
Well, I think
I was just too broke in the 80s to buy the records.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
broke in the 90s to buy the CD.
If you're not familiar with Yes, like their deeper cuts, all I have to say is just buy the album Close to the Edge. The album has 3 songs. It's the greatest record. It is so good.
Yeah.
It is a lesson.
The Roundabout album's a close second, wouldn't you think?
Fragile. Oh yeah, it's really good. Fragile's great.
Fragile. Mm-hmm.
Heart of the Sunrise, South of Heaven. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I'm a big music fan. See, that's the problem is people will sit and talk about like guitars and what about this tone? I don't give a shit. Let's talk songs. That's what makes people happy. You know what I mean? Like, people
better than tone.
Yeah, people can sit there and talk about Van Halen's tone. I'm like, yeah, his tone's great, but if you don't got the songs, Jamie's crying, and you don't got those songs, forget it. Who cares? The songs dominate. That's what we're all here. You know, and no one goes to a Van Halen show going, I hope they just play because I want to hear his guitar sound. No, you want to hear all the fucking songs you want to hear. You know?
Yes.
And so I'm a song-oriented person. That's why I love, for me, when I was a kid, those harmonies on those songs and those chords, like when I hear Baby Come Back and you hear that 11 chord to the minor, it's like, it's beautiful. You don't hear that in today's. It's almost very similar to like, or She's Gone by Hall & Oates. Same thing, 2 chords. You know, the A over B to a B, and it just works. Sounds great. You know, what got you started on guitar? What was your epiphany moment where you were like, that's it, I got to play guitar and that's the shit I want to learn?
Well, as a little kid, the first album that I bought with my own money was Elton John's Greatest Hits. So what year was that? 74, maybe something like that?
75, maybe. Well, 70. Wait, what's greatest
Yellow
hits?
Brick Road was 73. So
Yeah, it might be 74. It might not have anything from Caribou. So you might be right.
That's what I would do as a kid with $5. I would buy the Greatest Hits album. So I remember Elton's Greatest Hits. I remember America's Greatest Hits.
Great album.
And then, of course, I got the Frampton Live album. And then, but that was my kind of stuff. But
Okay.
I'm kind of, I am a big 80s hair metal fan, but I do understand that it gets tiring after a while. But I've sort of come back to the 80s hair metal in the last, 5 or 10 years. I've been able to tell people and admit the fact, hey man, I'm an 80s hair metal kid, even though I was kind of an older, like in my 20s at the time.
Brad Guitar Miller's saying Terry Kath. Kath is a monster. Fucking monster.
He really is, man.
Awesome.
He really is.
Awesome. Anyone that wants
another one of my karaoke tunes that I would go to and try to sing that. And I'm not a tenor. I'm a baritone, but I would still try.
The Tanglewood show, his guitar tone playing that live, that 25 or 6/4 solo he plays, and his voice was awesome. His version when he sings "I'm a Man," he makes his voice is so much better than Robert Lamb's. I love his voice.
Chicago's Greatest Hits was, again, I was 12, 13, 14 years old, and I could get $5 together. I got Chicago's Greatest Hits. Love that record.
Oh, fantastic. Children play in the park. I know. Oh, it's great stuff. Gary Moore's awesome.
It almost sounds a little perverted nowadays, the lyrics content in that about little kids at the park.
Oh, yeah.
In this generation, right? Yeah, but those are great tunes. And Chicago's still out touring right now, doing casino shows and stuff. But I think that they've gone through so many members. I think that what's the original keyboard player that sang that one? Or Color My World?
Robert Lamb.
Is Robert still with them?
Yeah, Robert is. Wait, Robert didn't sing Color My World, though. That's Terry that sings that. As time goes by. That's Terry.
Oh, yeah.
Robert sang like Saturday in the Park, the main part, and then Peter Cetera comes in. People laughing, really smiling.
Did you ever learn the Wish You Were Here or Wishing You Were Here off of that?
Oh, yeah. So Wishing You Were Here is Terry Kath singing the verses, and then the Beach Boys singing the choruses.
Oh.
That was the Beach Boys. Yeah, they even do it. You can see them on YouTube Live. And Terry played.
Live, you would have Peter Cetera doing it.
No. Well, it was Terry Kath. Because Kath died in, 78? January of 78. So there's a live 75 show where they toured with the Beach Boys. And you can see them. It's unbelievable if you'll see it on YouTube. But Terry does not look like he enjoys playing bass or singing the song. Because he's like, he does the part where he does empty, so far away, and then he just walks away from the mic and looks back at the drummer like he's not having it. Yeah, then the Beach Boys, ooh, wishing you.
But then you come in, and I'd like to change my life. And
that's
Peter. Wasn't that the Cetera part?
Yeah, Peter Cetera does the bridge.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to be with you tonight.
Do you have your acoustic setting right there with you?
No, I can grab one.
Grab one, man. Give us a little Chicago, if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind. Hold on. Let me.
This guy's a player, man. This guy's a player. It's fun to listen to him play. I'm up for it. He's singing the whole way.
A treat because I never take this guitar on my show. Hey, Moses. I'm doing my thing, Moses. You can't come over. I have a 6-year-old across the street that wants to come over. I'm like, no. Hey, I have a pick in here. I think I have picks. Okay, so this is a guitar that I play.
I have customers come into my store with 6-year-olds, and they're like, he's 6 and he's ready to learn how to play guitar. I say, bring him back when he's 12.
All right, so we got like...
Yeah, it's your D chord shape.
Yeah.
Just like a C-chord shape.
The Beach Boys doing all the harmonies there.
Yeah.
Then it goes yeah, there's also that Emerson Lake and Palmer song that does that. You see, it's we were meant to be here. Oh, wait, no, it's not.
E minor kind of thing.
Well,
What
it's
about the song?
minor
Okay,
with a
on
flat.
the Emerson, Lake and Palmer album, Dave. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. The first Works. The album Works.
Oh, I wouldn't
and
know.
that song, and that song called, it's an A minor song, but it's called La La La, Have Your Leaves All Turned to Brown.
Oh, that I wouldn't know. I wasn't that.
What was that song?
That one I don't know. I don't know that. Trying to think what I've been playing lately on acoustic. So I do like a lot of like we talk about show and tell, like. These are the eyes that long to hold you tight in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Takamine. This is the talk.
Okay.
You know, this has a super. This is 1 7/8.
Man, you know what? I actually, just for the hell of it, I'm going through Netflix the other night, and I sat through the whole movie Car Wash.
Great.
Wasn't that a fun movie?
Yeah.
Sat through that old movie.
It was what is that? I played a bass in a funk band, so I used to do the whole at the car wash. Car wash. Oh, it's killer stuff. I love a lot of that fun stuff. I'm doing a show here. You can't come on. What? No, he was just calling my name a few minutes ago from over there. How about this one here? In the misty morning.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I love all that stuff. I mean,
You know what I got to do? I was lucky enough I got to open up for Rough Riot. Okay, so it's half the guys from Rough Cut, Paul Sortino.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And it's half the guys from Quiet Riot. So there was Carlos Cavazo.
Oh,
and
nice.
we got to open up for him twice. And because these two guys were part of Hearing Aid, where Dio sang, Who cries for the children? Remember the whole Hearing Aid thing?
I do.
Yeah. So I've actually been able to be on stage at the Whiskey A Go-Go with Carlos Cavazo and Paul Sortino, and my band stood behind a mic, and we got to go, We're stars! I got this is one of the We're Stars background guys.
We're Stars. Yeah,
and you know, guitar was live and well when you could do a video like We're Stars and have like 10 different guitar players give you about 30, 45 seconds worth of guitar soloing, right?
You know who I loved on that was Neil Sean. I thought Neil was great. I'm a big Neil Sean fan, you know.
And vocally, where you have Jeff Tate singing along.
Oh, yeah.
Got, you know, Don Dokken got a line in there. Vince Neil shows up for it, didn't sing. Vince was never good in the studio.
Not a singer, in my opinion. You know, it's funny.
Really not.
Yeah, no, he's not.
He fit the part, but yeah, and people complain about Vince out on the summer, you know, the big summer tour that Def Leppard and Motley Crue are doing right now. And people are complaining about Vince, but Vince has never been a good singer.
Now, were you a 90s guy at all? Because one song I was thinking about teaching for next on my show was because I watched, I had a student and she was like, can you play Drive by Incubus? Okay. And I'm like, yeah, just put it on. So she put on this acoustic version. I watched his chord voicings and I was like, oh, so he's playing it like. It's just two parts. Then it goes back to wherever you want me. But it's a cool chord. It's like an E minor 7, but he's not fretting. He's not barring it. So it's E, E, B, open G, octave G, and then open E. So it's.
And what's strange is you're in standard tuning and you're not drop D. So normally all the 90s bands were half step down and drop D.
Right. Yeah. They weren't. Yeah. Yeah. What was it? Drop D one I just did I know which one I did the other day, which was a half step down. I had to teach this one on Monday. But it's a half step down on the record. It's a. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's fun stuff.
And you know, being around in the 90s and being in garage bands and cover bands, I very rarely did one of my guitar players, because I'm on bass, very rarely did the guitar player go, so hold on, and he would drop D, because, you know, so many guys didn't even know that you could drop D in the 90s, except for these artists that were, you know, writing these tunes.
All the Zeppelins, a lot of Zeppelins. In fact, you know who did drop a lot was Lindsey Buckingham did drop D a lot. Like,
right.
But he capos it on 2, so it's actually an E, but it's drop D tuning because it's just capo. Then he does this. Listen to the wind blows. Watch. So it's cool. I mean, I like Lindsey's stuff. He's my band. We used to do a lot of drop D. In fact, if you've ever watched my channel, it always starts with.
Okay. Your theme song.
And that was my band.
Nice.
That was, yeah. But it's a cool thing because you have this, which is, and then an E flat in the bass. And the same two notes, but you have to go. So it's a.
Nowadays, I'm telling you, guitar players nowadays, they got it easy because we used to have to drop the needle on a record and then try to figure out how to play the song. And now you can go on YouTube and find, because of guys like you can find everything you need. When was the first year you discovered drop D tuning? What year was it?
Maybe in the 80s sometime. I'd have to think what song was drop D that I... The first really one that I kind of picked up on it was probably Outshined, where I was like, there's no way. When I heard that, I was like, wait.
That was the 90s. So yeah, we learned about, and I've been in bands forever, and it wasn't until the 90s where we're like, drop D.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that Motley Crue, I remember trying to do Motley Crue covers in the mid 80s, not knowing that they were tuned a full step down. We would just try to transpose it the best we could,
That's not in drop D, but
right.
I'm just playing it in drop D. But
that's a capo on the second.
There's a lot of country too, like that. That type of thing where it's, that type of thing where it's all, But I do a lot of, I even do in my band, I used to play for this country singer. See, I knew alternate tunings back when I was first started because I was playing like Bronnier by Led Zeppelin, and I was doing a lot of Zeppelin open G stuff.
And the Frampton stuff, the two big Frampton hits that he wrote in the same day, Baby I Love Your Way and Show Me the Way.
Open G.
Both of those open G.
Open G, yeah. So like this one I used to do so I'd be like. That C chord with the low C sounds nice.
But you're back in standard tuning right now.
I'm in low C. He is a C. So I'm playing here's a C chord. So I can go. And there's that C, the low C in octaves.
Oh, okay. You wouldn't even know another full step down. Now, what about in the 1970s with Keith Richards and the Stones? Did you know about Open G in the 70s when you heard that?
No, I wasn't playing guitar then, so.
Oh.
But I do a lot of Keith stuff.
Yeah.
We played, and the funny thing is Keith changes the chords a little bit. I'll show you something maybe people don't realize. I'll play little Keith for you.
Okay.
So here's what you got
Open G tuning. Tell us what the strings are.
So we got low D, G, D, G, B, D.
Okay.
So you got Zeppelin. Right when he does. So you got to have that open tuning to do it. And then you got songs like. And you got the Zeppelin.
All those open strings make it sound so lush and so beautiful. And you have those open strings.
Hey, mama, what's the name? That's a classic. How we go. So you got that. Now you got the Keith stuff. So Keith, like when I said he changes chords, like if you take a song like Happy, right? Right now, watch that show. That chord is actually like these two fingers, but on the third and second. And then he moves it on the second half to the fourth, to the typical Keith chord. So he goes like. Oh, it's friggin' awesome.
Where do you think Keith came up with that? Did he take it from a blues artist of the 50s or on his own?
Reich Cooder. Okay. Keith, watch what I'll show you. Keith was playing before that everything in open E. I think the first song he played in open G is You Can't Always Get What You Want, but he keeps the E tuned standard. It's not his normal because he's playing the high E, and it's like a G6 tuning, they call it. But like, this one
right on.
I love when it goes. Anyways. What was that? What's the one he does?
So tell us about Reich Cooder a little tiny bit, because we've heard the name, but we can't really. I remember seeing an album that had a pink cover and his picture on it. And
so Rye's awesome. So Rye used to shop at my store too. He was a real nice guy. So Rye is he's a guitar player that played slide on some of the early Stone stuff. He was a session guy that would go in and play with them. And he's the one that ended up showing Keith open G, because Keith was playing E tunings. In fact, if I here, I'll just could use a tuner here and I have to, with the headphones on, it's a little funky.
It's there, so yeah.
Here we go. I had it. Hold on. There we go. So you got the open E, right? So you got like you got all that open E or like
So that's open E tuning, right? Open E tuning.
Yeah, open E, and you hear open E all the time, like.
There you go.
And there's cool things with opening you can do. It's just
There's been a ton of times where I've seen musicians and I've jammed with guitar players that do that song, but they just stay in standard tuning to do it.
right. Yeah.
Is it way wrong to just stay in standard tuning and try to pull that off, or is it just like, oh God?
I don't think so, because let me just tune in normal tuning real quick.
When you see these cover bands like playing the Stones or playing the Black Rose, and they stay in standard tuning, should you just walk out on them, or?
No, see, I can do. You can pull it off. It's just
Okay.
the way they did it on the record. But remember, we were talking about that Melissa, right? This.
Oh yeah.
So you can go like, you say to the corner of
Oh, okay.
Now here's a cool thing. Do you know? Here's a trivia for you. What song is sung in that song? There's another song sung in it.
Keep playing for a minute. Let me kind of it.
She doesn't have time to rely. Cause the time is for the key. It's in this section here. Hang on. All we are saying is give peace.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm singing "Give Peace a Chance" in that song.
There's
cool.
tons of tunes that you could kind of do a mashup, where you can go from one song. You could definitely mash up. You're in the middle of that, and then you go into "Give Peace a Chance."
Well, if you
songs are awesome.
If you listen to the record, you'll hear him. He sings it in there. It's on the record.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. He actually sings it in the background, like when he says, hang on, you can hear him going, all we are saying. John Anderson singing that part is give peace a chance.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what's cool is like live when I play with AM Station, we do songs like I do this solo on. Oh.
Okay, but was now that original song? Here's the thing about Steely Dan. Walter Becker pretty much gets credit for everything.
Yeah,
right?
no.
It's just those two guys.
Yeah, but that guitar solo.
That Skunk that did that, Skunk Baxter? Or?
It was Elliot Randall on that song. Unreal and it's Elliot Randall. There's a live version where Skunk's playing. Oh, I know someone. I think Denny Diaz has taken the lead, but on the record, it's Elliot Randall.
Oh yeah.
I like what he does when he comes on the solo.
You know how everybody thinks it's just Walter Becker and the other guy, and Walter gets so much credit
he
for all that
on
Steely Dan stuff.
What the hell am I at? I forget that whole solo, but that was that's Walter. But yeah, I mean, playing acoustic's fun, but that's really why, like, when I hear songs like Baby Come Back and you hear that. Spending all my nights, all my money going out of my mind. Feel off of my mind. When I get back to that feeling again. Baby, come back. Any kind of fool could sing. And all these songs are on my channel. I teach them all. I mean, there's like so many that I just went on and was like, I'm going to teach this song. I mean, just these songs that I grew up on. I don't even remember. People say to me all the time, like, oh, can you play this? I'm like, no. They're like, you taught it. I'm like, you think I remembered it? I taught it because I'm going to forget it.
All right. Give us a little 10cc. I'm not in love. This is such a good one. A minor. Oh, the B over A kind of thing, isn't it?
I'll go right into it here. I'm not in love. So don't forget it, Papa. It's just a silly things I'm going through. It just becomes you are. Don't get me wrong. Don't think you got me. I'm not in love. No, no. It's because
Dave, let me ask you, who is the guys in 10cc? Was it Eric Carmen? I have a guy standing here going, that was Eric Carmen.
Eric Carmen's in the Raspberries. The guy's name was Eric Stewart. And the bass player's name, I can't think of. The bass player's the guy who wrote For Your Love for the Yardbirds. And he wrote Heart Full of Soul. Heart Full of Soul. Graham Goldman. And then the other guys were Godley and Cream. There was four guys.
They turned into that. You know, has there ever been a good modern cover of that 10cc song that ever charted or anything? Because that is such a great song, but nobody could do it better than that.
Yeah, but they shouldn't. Just like you shouldn't cover Just the Way You Are, like you shouldn't cover it. I don't think it should be covered. What the hell is that thing? Looks like a bird. It's some insect. I'm telling you, it's the biggest thing. It's smoking a cigar. No, it's huge. It's huge. No, but there was a band in the 90s called Jellyfish. That record, Spilt Milk, is one of my all-time favorite records. And then out of that band came another band called Imperial Drag. And that's another, I mean, if you want to listen to a great hard rock unknown album, Imperial Drag's only album, it's fantastic. But has rich harmonies and it's nice. You know, I like those types of chords, you know, like when you play a song like Josie, you know, it's those, you know,
give us a little the intro. Give us the intro, because it's the world's most popular intro.
If I remember it, I won't remember the chords. I forget the chords, and because it ends on that awful last chord. It's a finger bass. If I don't practice that, I have to go back and. But in that song though, like I love when it goes in the chorus. It's like when Josie comes. Josie comes. So good. She's the pride of the neighborhood. She's the fucking killer, man. I see those things, those harmonies.
I want to talk about a little bit how the boomers were. Honestly, the baby boomer generation was the greatest guitar players in the world. Compared to Gen X or
I don't know. This players out this great, like if you guys listen to bands like Snarky Puppy, I think what's the guy's name? Mark Lettieri, phenomenal player. There's a lot of great players out today. And the keyboard player, Corey Henry. See, for me, people are funny because they talk to me about guitar players, and I'm like, yeah, I could give a shit. I'll listen to Bill Evans play a couple of chords on a piano, and that'll tear my heart out, and I'm way more than that. Like, I really dig, like, just those chords that have those crazy, that type of...
know.
Type of tension.
Right.
Or like, remember that, what's that Vince Guaraldi, who from Charlie Brown? I mean, the guy's writing Charlie Brown songs. It's the saddest song of all time.
I know.
This chord, listen. A 9 sharp 11 chord. Oh, that's happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, Jesus, Christmas time is here. Fill that needle up with some heroin and let's get zonked out. I mean, it sounds nuts. It is so sing, but I love it. If it moves me, I love it.
Well, you know what? I think again, back in the 70s, they had all these really great pop music, added all those great chords in there. Yeah. Nowadays, music, man, you got these guys that play so fast and so shreddy, polyphium, stuff like that, and all the guys that are so fast. So it is a big statement to say that they're not any good anymore, because there's guys that are just like amazing right now.
Oh, so there's also that guy Marco, or I forget what his name is. He's like an Italian guitar player. Kid is sick. I mean, he's a great.
That's the reaction video you did.
I know I didn't do one on him, but what the hell? Like, I'm a big Holsworth fan, so I love voicings of chords like for major 7 chord, like G major 7. I love hearing it like this. I just think it's a beautiful chord. You know, you got the 3, the major 7, the 1 and the 5 on top. It's beautiful sounding. So I like pretty, and I like stuff that, you know, like people always ask me what I think of the blues, and most blues I don't like. But when I hear like Larry Carlton or Robin Ford play it, or even Lukather, then I like it, because I like, you know, like I can listen to that right there, that altered scale, friggin' great.
Yeah.
I think literally I'm out here every night. There's no mosquitoes. I'm playing guitar. I'm getting bombarded.
They're coming for you, man. They want some of that guitar blood.
Exactly. They're like, this guy can play. Get him. But see, I like stuff like, and one of the things that I don't like in when people talk modes, like if we're playing this chord, this is a C at 9 sharp 11, right? So I got a C, the D, G, the D, the F sharp. And people will say, oh, that's Lydian. You got to play Lydian. Well, I think of it as G major. It's the 4th chord of G major, right? So as guitar players, what's nice to play? E minor. Same 7 notes. What do I got to... It works. And I don't think of it any other way other than this is, so if I'm going to play, I can play. So I can try at it all the way through. You know what I mean? I don't have to think about it. I'm not thinking. I just know the 7 notes, the 7 chords, the 7 extensions. And so if I'm going to play, I can be like, I can color it any way I want, because I know I know it's available to me. But if I sit there and think about it as a mode, now I'm doing work in my head, and I don't want to play. You know what it's like? It's like talking. When you talk, you don't think. You just speak. You speak, and so when you play guitar, it can be the same way. It's like
you can make it talk.
You know, you get like. Whatever, I'm just playing. Not even if I'm playing this chord, right? And I'm sitting there. Mm-hmm. That's a G triad. You know what I mean? But I'm playing like a line, then triad, line. Well, that's a triad to a major 7.
Sometimes when you're giving lessons to guys, do you sort of kind of dummy it down a little bit? And
you have to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I open up a big file on my computer. I have a huge computer screen, and I show them, listen, here's the 7 notes. So if we start on this, what are we playing? They're like, well, we can play whatever you want. You know, people think like, oh, modes really opens things up. No, it closes things. Because if I think of this, now I have to play that from... Well, what if I want to start here? Or what if I want to start from here? I can start anywhere. I don't have to think about it as a mode. I just think about it as a 7 notes. 7 notes is G major, 1 is F sharp.
Yeah, and those 7 notes start all over the fretboard.
They're everywhere. The same. All I know is when I go to F, make it sharp. So if I'm playing F, I just know where the F is. So make it sharp.
Mm-hmm. Super cool, Dave. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on with me today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
We're Facebook friends now, so anytime, man, you want to
come on my show? I do a show called the DL Show on Mondays. I've been spacing it out a little bit more because I get bored doing it. And if you want to come on any Monday night, we do it at 8 o'clock on Monday, which would be 5 o'clock your time.
What I will definitely do that. But what I enjoy doing, it's a little easier for me because I am actually here at my guitar shop right now. I'm at work.
Right.
So if it's during the day, and now we do have a 3-hour difference.
Right.
But I like to do stuff more for you. It'd be very early evening stuff.
Yeah. Whenever. You can have me on whenever you want. This was fun.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dave.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate everybody and everyone that subbed my channel. I see like a lot of my people in here. Mikey Newman was here and Ricky Compton. Thanks, guys, for being here. And
we've got a lot of the same subscribers.
I'm sure it's our community.
It is.
Yeah. My community is Pornhub. No, I'm kidding. It's a joke. Thank you very much, folks. I'm here all week. Try the veal. Tip your waitress. I tell you it ain't easy. But yeah, so that's just I'm really watching. What do I watch? I watch a bunch of cigar reviews. I watch political stuff. I'm all over the spectrum. I'm all over, but I stay away from music. Like I don't even watch any of the guitar stuff, and I got bored.
So you're not into the newest and the newest pedal on the market, the newest fuzz pedal or any of that.
If you've seen my pedal board, you'd have a heart attack. I've got more pedals than people that didn't make my board. But I will say this, the pedal that I've been most impressed with over the last couple of years has been the Duelist and the Soloist by Kingtone.
Oh, wow.
That has been my go-to to advise people. It's the best overdrive. And I also like the Rock Box by Boiling Point. But for the most part...
I haven't even heard of that one.
Which one? The Duelist?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard of those.
Oh, you got it. The Duelist and the Soloist are the only pedals that I've ever bought where I'm like, this sounds as good as I wanted it to sound. It does what it promised.
Yeah.
It's vicious. It's a great sounding pedal. Other than that, my big pedal board has 23 pedals on it. My small one has 10. My medium one, my very small one has like 6. And then I've got probably 30 to 40 pedals just floating around.
Do you collect old vintage 70s stuff and things like that then?
I'm not a vintage guy at all. I'm like, if it's vintage, sell it. I don't care for it. Like if it's old, if it sounds good and it still works, I'm good for it. But like, I don't love all that stuff. Like, I think to me, it's the player. You can go watch, like Genesis went on tour and Mike Rutherford took out a Squire. He's playing, he's selling $300 tickets and he's playing a Squire. That should tell everybody what I think of the market. It's got to be a real 57 Strat. Oh, really? You can tell the difference? You can't even, and then people will argue about Tonewood. Oh, this sounds really, oh, really? Let me play you these 2 Pink Floyd albums. Tell me what neck is on this guitar.
I know. It's a bit ridiculous, but it's our hobby. It's what we love to do.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, just learn how to play songs and have fun with music. Because music is what we do, I
tell so many people in the store right here that want this and what's the best pedal I could buy for that amp? Bro, come on, man. Don't ask me that.
Right.
You gotta just start living it and start doing your own research.
Some kid in the Stratocaster group on Facebook said, What kind of pickups should I get in my first Strat? I'm like, get it without pickups. Nobody wants to hear you play. Just practice.
I heard you say that the other night.
Get it out.
Practice.
Yeah, just practice the fucking thing. Nobody cares. I'm just serious. It's like people like, oh, what pickups, what amp are you playing? How the hell do I even know? You know, I know guys.
People come in here and I've like, hey man, feel free to strum any of the guitars, and they'll be like, and they don't want to strum in front of you because there's so much things going on in people's minds now that, oh man, if I suck on guitar, this guy that works here is gonna think I'm this or that. And I'm like, dude, trust me, I suck on guitar. Don't even worry about it. Just set and play. And yeah, there's so much stigma out in the world about if you're good or if you suck on guitar, and it's kind of a shame.
Jimmy Page played Cashmere on a Dan Electro. People back when that guitar came out laughed at that guitar, thought it was a piece of junk. They used to sell it at Sears.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was the piece of shit of the day, and he showed everybody it doesn't make a difference. You know? None of that stuff makes a difference. Yeah, I mean, you could sit there and watch, like Joe Bonamassa goes out and plays. He plays a piece of vintage gear, and he'll play a new copy of a piece of vintage gear. And I'll tell you what, I'll blindfold anybody, and you couldn't tell me which one's which. There's no way in living hell.
I agree.
Unless he says to you, it's this one. You know what I mean?
I mean, I honestly need to maybe clean the earwax out of my ears because I can't tell the difference in so many things. I mean, there's obvious things you can tell you can tell your neck pickup from your bridge pickup. You can tell a humbucker from a single coil. There's things I can definitely hear.
Yeah.
And different overdrive pedals. Yeah. Okay. I'm hearing that. Transparent overdrives. Okay. I can still hear the guitar tone underneath there's things I can hear, but mostly, man, I think I have bad ears.
No, it's common. I mean, you talked about Van Halen 1. Can you tell me what song Van Halen played a Les Paul on?
Although I watched a YouTube video and I'm pretty sure it's "And the Cradle Will Rock."
No, on
he had a 59 Les Paul. He took the neck pickup out.
"In the Cradle Will Rock" is a Fender Rhodes keyboard playing the main guitar part. It's only the solo that has a guitar.
Yeah.
That's a keyboard going through his Marshall.
I saw that live. Ted Templeman hated that. The whole little break in the beginning.
Yeah, I love that.
Ted Templeman hated that part. And Ted was like, leave that out. And Eddie's like, no, leave it in. And they fought. Eventually, Ted Templeman left the studio and was like, fuck you guys. And that's horrible. And left. And he didn't like that.
And there's a great Ted Templeman interview where he's talking and he says how, like, Dave was just ranting and raving for like 10 minutes. And that's when he says, come on, Dave, give us a break.
Oh, yeah.
And then they went one break coming up, but they cut it on the record. But I guess he was going on and on. That came out pure.
It's hard to hang out with those kind of people that are so, like, it's so exhausting to have to imagine setting and trying to write a song with David Lee Roth. After about 2 or 3 hours in, you'd be like, oh, God.
But those first 5 or 6 records are so fantastic.
They're I know, I love that stuff. Sunset Sound Studios in LA. Did you ever work there, or did you ever do anything out of Sunset?
I worked out of Conway and the Village.
Oh, the Village Recorders. What about the other one where Nirvana and Dio and where Dave Grohl bought the mixing board out of that? Sound City.
Sound City, no. Mainly Conway was my favorite place to go, and that's where Guns N' Roses recorded. And oh
wow,
yeah, it's a great. It's one of my favorites because when you go outside, you're outside. It's like a little community there. It's really cool. Buddy Brundo's studio. Yeah, I feel
like I missed out on so much of that because I live here in Phoenix, Arizona. And in Phoenix, Arizona, we've got Alice Cooper. We've got the Refreshments. We've got the Gin Blossoms. We've got Flotsam and Jetsam. I got to open for Flotsam one time back in 1986. But, I feel like I missed out a lot, and I was only 6 hours away. You know, and as younger, I probably should have tried to do more things over in LA. And now I'm trying to catch up, and it's kind of stupid, but at least I go out there and play a little bit nowadays.
You know who? Do you know Brian Tichy? Who he is? The drummer. Brian Tichy had a band called Ball, and they used to do a lot of shows with us. And it was Brian, who's a brilliant drummer, was the guitar player and singer, and Joe Travers was the drummer of Ball. And they did this thing too, where he brought out this percussion thing, and Brian would play percussion, and Joe would. They were unbelievable. I always hated when we did shows. I loved it. It was a love-hate because I loved Brian. He was a cool guy, big Zepp fan. But watching them play, I'm like, shit, we got to go on now. It's like they were fucking great.
The last time I played the whiskey 2 weeks ago, there was a band called Smokin' Rocha or something like that. And it was a single dude with just a big pedal board and a PRS guitar, and he didn't have anybody with him. It was just one single guy, and he was just making noise, like he was pretending to be a very bad Jimi Hendrix or something, with
Really?
his very bad looper pedal going. And we fortunately got to go on right after him. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great.
They would have been better off having Michael Winslow do the Hendrix impersonation. Remember Michael Winslow from Police Academy?
Oh, yeah.
He did it. He did it one of the Cheech and Chong movies where he was doing the Hendrix bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Man.
Thanks everybody in the audience for hanging out. And very good.
Shoot me a link on Monday. I'll come down here.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
All right. Thanks everyone. Peace.
Thank you guys for watching. Later.